Game prices. We all hate them, but they're just a part of gaming. As much as we don't like it, games require people to make them, and people need food and shelter to live, and to acquire food and shelter you need money. That's the point of games costing money. Some games are really cheap, some are expensive, and some are completely free, but still want money from you and will get that money by any means necessary. Really, it depends on the game. Some games require hundreds of people to work on it, some only require a dozen, and some only have like 5, and hell, some only have one guy working on it. And since you only need to feed that one guy versus hundreds of people, that game is probably going to be much, much cheaper. Now, this isn't what you clicked on this video for, I'm sure, but I'm bringing this up to make a point. You see, as we've all noticed by now, game prices have been going up as of the start of the current generation. Games have now been wanting $70 a pop compared to the previous $60 a pop, which was the standard for quite a while. Well, the big AAA ones anyway. My point is, as games get more expensive, people are going to want more bang for their buck. People are not going to be satisfied with a 4-hour game for full price like they did back in the 7th generation. You know, the whole Angry Joe meme.
4 hours!
Yeah, you probably can't get away with that anymore for a full price $70. People aren't going to want to buy a $70 game for 4 hours of gameplay these days. They're going to be expecting a lot more than that. And I know there exist tons of arguments for these recent price increases and how games are getting more expensive to develop, and that's a fair argument. But then I see people mention that games back in the 80s and 90s were like $80 for the game and no one complained then. Well, back then you also got a box, a manual, and a bunch of goodies inside that came with the game. And also due to the fact that cartridges were more expensive to manufacture too. Today, devs don't want to even bother printing discs anymore. They want you to buy the game digitally so they can cut out the middleman and not waste any money with that stuff anymore. Also, you want to know what existed back in the 80s and 90s? Rental stores. You didn't have to buy the game to play it back then. You could just rent it from your local Blockbuster or whatever. Well, we had Movie Gallery. God, I miss Movie Gallery. Oh, sweet memories. But as we all know, rental stores today are... yeah, that. So the only way to play new games nowadays, you have 2 options. 1, buy the game, or 2, subscribe to a game service like Xbox Game Pass and pray the game you want is on there. Or you could use Gamefly, I guess, but I forgot Gamefly still existed until a few minutes ago. So, you get my point. People want more with their games as prices go up. You can't get away with a short game for $7 today, blah 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 blah. I'm rambling at this point. And that leads me to my main thought. You can't get away with a short game anymore for high prices, right? Well, this leads me to a thought that really pecked at me for a while. What is the least amount of content you can get for a game compared to the price? Or what I'm really asking is, what is the shortest game ever made? Now, there are a lot of candidates for this for what could be considered the shortest game, because it depends on what someone is looking for. There are numerous games that are known for being short, but not really bad, sometimes the complete opposite of bad. Metal Gear Rising is probably a very famous example. It's a game that is loved by many, many, many people, but it's also known for its short length. You can beat the game in about 6 hours, possibly even less if you skip the cutscenes, but you're skipping Metal Gear Rising's cutscenes. I have to ask.
What's wrong with you?
But 6 hours? No, sorry. That's still too much time for me. Yeah, sorry for the clickbait, but Metal Gear Rising is a short game, but not even close to being a candidate for this video. And besides, you will be enjoying every one of those 6 hours in one of the best action games ever made. No, I'm not counting these games by the hours. That's too much time. I'm going for minutes. I'm going for those games that can be completed in under an hour. But you see, this also leads to the fact that if you're skilled enough, you can complete a game in under an hour no matter what. That's what speedrunners are for. But speedrunners have been playing these games for so damn long, it's like muscle memory to them. They know these games front to back. They have definitely been playing them longer than just the shortest time they have on their personal record. So, asking what is the shortest game ever is a complicated question. And in order to find it, I have to make rules for it. Sorry, but this is how I'm going to find this out. No, I can't really think of a better way to do this. After laying down the groundwork for this, I've gotten it down to 4 specific rules. Rule number 1. The game has to be officially licensed and recognized on consoles to be counted. Now, I've probably pissed off a lot of people with this rule, but I made this rule for purely one reason. No jab at PC gamers at all, but if I counted PC games, we'd be here all damn day. Anyone, I mean anyone with any sort of programming or gaming knowledge can make a game on PC right now and spread it around to break the record. I can go download RPG Maker right now and slap a game together in 5 minutes where all you have to do is hit new game and it just loads up to the end screen. There, I broke the record. Worship me. There was a Flash game called You Have to Burn the Rope that was released back in 2008. When you play this game, you can beat it in under a minute, because all you have to do is, well, burn the rope. But you see, counting this game is kind of cheating, because it was made short on purpose. That was the whole joke. The whole game was a joke. All you have to do is burn the rope, and you won. Game's over. The credits even tell you to play the game again and burn the rope again.
Maybe watch a video. Maybe press refresh and start again.
Counting a game that was made short on purpose as a joke basically kind of defeats the whole point of this video. And I know there were a bunch of games that were released on Steam that can count in this video, and those technically count as officially licensed. But listen, Steam will let literally anything on their platform. Any numbnuts with any programming knowledge can make a game, pay a fine, and get their game on there. It doesn't matter if the game is shit or barely has any content whatsoever. If it has interactivity, it's allowed on Steam. There was a game called Journey of the Light that caused a bit of controversy back in 2015 when it released, because the game had no ending. It was you rolling around as a ball of light in an empty open field, and that's it. Nothing else. You could not complete this level. The creator tried to play it off as, you can find the next level if you find out how to complete it. It's just a very hard puzzle. But then, people data mined the game and found out the next level files were just the first level copy-pasted with nothing changed. So, that was just a load of bullshit. So technically, this game ends the minute you start it, because you could never finish it. And that's what I'm talking about. This is why I'm not counting Steam games. If somebody can put a game on there that you literally cannot finish, then anything's fair game. If you really want to count Steam games, I did look through some of the stuff, and I found probably the best candidate for this video. There was a game released back in 2018 called Shadow Treachery Cannot Be Tolerated, and this game also caused a small shitstorm when it released, because when you bought the game when it first released, all you got was an empty folder with no game inside. Of course, people complained to Valve, and the creator eventually had to fix this. But I think that was the original plan, to scam people out of their money with no game inside. Because the game people got after he updated it was you in a gunfight with 6 guys on a street. You shoot all of them, get a cutscene, and then the game starts looping. Yeah, that's it. That's the entire game. Overall, you got about 30 seconds of gameplay from this. Now, 30 seconds of gameplay is absolutely pathetic, but let's not beat around the bush here. The creator was clearly not trying here in the slightest. But believe it or not, there is actually DLC for this game. Yeah, there's DLC. And it's not much better. It's just one room where you can walk around and shoot 6 more guys, you get another cutscene, and then it's over. Maybe an extra 2 minutes of gameplay on top of the 30 seconds you got in the main game. So basically, this game has 2 minutes and 30 seconds of content and 2 cutscenes that are complete shit. This game launched at $2. Even for that cheap, I'd still say it's absolutely not worth it. But because there's nothing here. There's nothing here. If you really want to count this game as the shortest game ever made, sure, go ahead. But I'm not. Anyone can release their game on Steam, and if anyone can do that, then anyone can be the winner. And no, I'm not just singling Steam out for this. There are multiple websites where someone can upload a game to it without anyone really vouching it. There's GameJolt, itch.io, Newgrounds. Do people still use Newgrounds for games? Yeah. There's a whole slew of websites. If anyone can do it, then anyone can make the shortest game ever. And I know you could probably say, but console manufacturers will let anything on their consoles too. There's trash on there too. Just look at the eShop and PSN store. Well, to you, I have to say, well, the reason why, because, shut up! So anyway, I've established that rule. Let's talk about the next one. Rule number 2. You have to beat the game legitimately for it to count. This is basically me building off of the speedrunner stuff I mentioned earlier. Speedrunners have been able to glitch the games they played to beat it faster, and some of these people have been able to beat games like Mario World in under a minute with these kind of glitches. Yeah, I don't think I need much of an explanation on why I'm not counting stuff like this. You were never meant to play these games like this. Glitches are inherently flaws in the game that were overlooked by the developers that speedrunners and gamers alike have been able to abuse to beat the games as fast as possible. Manipulating the game's code to make Mario World's The End screen show up in the first level just isn't fair to count as the shortest game ever when you ignore like the game's 73 levels. Pretty obvious why I'm not including stuff like this.
Yo! Yes! Oh my god! Yes!
Rule number 3. The game has to be able to end. Yeah, another self-explanatory one. You can't really beat a game if it won't end. I'm mainly including this rule for stuff like simulation games or Animal Crossing, where the games don't really end, as they were made to be kept playing on and on. I mean, in Animal Crossing's case, I guess you could call paying off your debt as the ending, but the game is still going and still has tons of content to explore after that. So yeah, this one's also pretty obvious. And finally, the 4th and last rule. You have to experience almost all the game's worthwhile content in the time you play it. Now, I made this one mainly because there are a bunch of games out there where the main story is short, but it is bursting at the seams with side content. The number one example I can think of is Majora's Mask. If you just play the game's main story and nothing else, it's really short. It still passes the hour mark, but it's still the shortest mainline Zelda in the series. Only 4 dungeons. However, the game is absolutely drowning in side quests. That's most of the game. And some of the side quests are the best parts of the game, where you get to bond with all these interesting characters. So basically, this one game is a big reason why I've included this rule here. Now, I've gone over all my rules and why I included them. I've explained my position, my standards, and my qualifications. After doing tons of research, trudging through tons of games, and looking through howlongtobeat.com, what is the answer? What is the shortest game ever made? And so, I found it. I found the answer. I found a game that met all my criteria, met all my rules. It is only on consoles. I beat it legitimately. You can beat the game, and you experience everything the game has to offer in the shortest time possible. And I found it. However, I don't think anyone is going to be expecting the answer I found.
Why weren't you at elk practice?
After looking through enough games, I've determined that the most random choice you could possibly think of is the answer to the question. The shortest game ever made is a 2010 video game adaptation of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, made for the Nintendo Wii. Yeah, you didn't know this was a Christmas video in June, did you? Merry Christmas, everyone! Have fun in that fucking scorching heat! Yeah, the most random game you could possibly think of. A video game adaptation of the 60s Christmas classic, made like 50 years later, is the shortest game ever made. At least from what I found. Go figure. This game is a minigame compilation, a genre that was extremely prevalent on the Wii. There were minigame compilations up the wazoo on the Wii, but those games technically don't have an ending because they're party games. They're made to be played over and over again with friends. But actually, I can count Rudolph here because it has a story mode. There aren't multiple stories with different characters. It has one singular story mode. The story mode basically has you helping Santa prepare for Christmas. You start off at a minigame where you decorate the tree, then you go to a minigame where you paint toys in the workshop, then you bake cookies, then you deliver the presents, and then... Wait, that's it? That's the game? It's already over? Yep, that is it. 4 minigames. 4.
Minigames.
4 short little minigames that aren't even all that good to begin with. The painting minigame legit only has you shaking the Wii Remote to paint a toy whenever it starts to glow. You don't even need to aim it. You just need to shake the Wii Remote and it automatically paints it for you. In the present delivering minigame, you could just spam shaking the Wii Remote to win. You don't even get any deductions for missing. I mean, my god, what's the point? Well, I don't have a capture card for my Wii for the time being. I did play this game to see if it really is that short. I did have to get footage from this game off YouTube, so thank you, this person, for having it. Sorry for taking your footage for this god-awful Rudolph game, but I don't feel anyone watching this is missing my awesome gaming skills at this god-awful Rudolph game no one ever played. And I know what you're asking. Did I actually spend money to play this game that's shorter than the average toilet break? Maybe. While I was playing, I started a timer. From the start of the story mode to the end. After it was all said and done with, my final time was 10 minutes and 40 seconds long. Wow. A game that's only 10 minutes long? That's pretty ridiculous. But actually, that's not even true, because that's me being generous. I also included the cutscenes in that time frame. I played through it again, and this time I skipped the cutscenes, and my final time after that was 8 minutes and 59 seconds, basically 9 minutes. Now, a game that's only 9 minutes long, that is absurd. But guess what? I'm still being generous. That is also including the loading times, the character selection, and the tutorials before each minigame that you can't skip. I decided to play through the story mode one last time and only start the timer the second the minigame starts. The first minigame, the Christmas tree one, took 2 minutes to beat. The second one, the painting toys minigame, took 1 minute and 45 seconds to beat. The third one, the one where you bake cookies, took 1 minute and 32 seconds. And the last one, where you deliver the presents, took 1 minute and 30 seconds. When you add it all up, the total play time of all these minigames comes up to 6 minutes and 7 seconds. So, that is it. 6 minutes of actual gameplay. Holy shit. That is unbelievable. That is unheard of. And if you're wondering, no, there is nothing else here. There are no unlockable minigames, there are no unlockable characters, no trophies, no achievements, no challenges, no nothing. Once those 6 minutes of gameplay are up, you have experienced everything the game has to offer. The only replayability this game has to offer is a 2-player mode where you can play the same 4 minigames with someone else. And good luck getting someone else to play this shit with you. The only thing left in this game is maybe the credits, but they don't even play after you beat the story mode. You have to actively watch them in order to see them. And I have to say, the amount of people who developed, playtested, and produced a game that is only 6 minutes long is absurd. Speaking of which, the amount of people in the quality assurance credits is jaw-dropping. Well over 20 people looked at this game, saw it was 6 minutes long, and approved it for a release. Like, I can only imagine it was like, hey, Jim, how's the game, Jim? Oh, it's great, it works, it looks nice, but where's the rest of it?
What rest of it?
Let me just remind you how short 6 minutes is. This video is already longer than the time it takes to beat it. You can watch a full 22-minute TV episode and beat this game 3 times and a half during that duration. In the time it takes to watch the full Lord of the Rings trilogy, you can beat this game 110 times. And let me just remind you of a little fact. This wasn't a little small title you could download for $2 off your phone. This wasn't a game given up for free or put in cereal boxes. This was a physically released game, approved by Nintendo and rated by the ESRB. This was printed on discs and put in a box. You could go in a store and buy this for $20. Yeah, it's an obvious budget price, but $20 for 6 minutes of gameplay? That's highway robbery. I think if you paid $1 for this, you'd still be getting ripped off. I imagine the wait in the line to take this up to the cashier was probably longer than you'd be actually playing it. Not to mention the ride home on top of that. But you know what the funniest part about all this is? There is actually a DS version of this game that was developed and released the same day. And I played it. Did I actually buy this version as well just to see how it was too? Maybe. And believe it or not, somehow, some way, it has more content than the Wii version does. How does that happen? How does the DS version of a console game have more game to play than the console version? This one is also a minigame compilation, but it's more so treated like an activity book. You basically pick a storybook, read the story, and while you're reading it, you're given some small, simple minigames to play while you're reading along with it. It's not anything mind-blowing, it's not a must-play Christmas game or anything, but for what it is, it's alright. It has way more than 4 minigames, I can tell you that for a fact, but I still wouldn't go out of my way to seek this out. There is at least 2 hours of content here, and while that's still short, it's not 6 minutes long, I can tell you that. God, this is just fascinating to me. Out of every game I've ever seen, out of every game I've ever played, never in my life did I think I'd find a game that you can experience everything it has to offer in less than 10 minutes. I'd ask where the speedrunning community for this is, but then I realized it's a minigame compilation where they all have fixed time limits for all of them, so it'd be kind of pointless. So, this is it. After all the research I've done, this has got to be the shortest officially licensed game I've ever seen. I can't find another game with all my stipulations, with this little content, that isn't a joke or a legitimate scam. Even then, this game is pushing into those territories really hard. So, the next time someone asks what is the shortest game ever made, or what game has the least amount of content, tell them Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for the Nintendo Wii. If you know of a shorter game, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it, because I think it's going to be really difficult to beat this. Anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and God bless.